Warning: this episode includes topics about cybercrimes, hacking, and other dark themes that some listeners may find upsetting. Please take care while listening. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and gentle thems. You are tuned in to the bonus episode of the Emotional Support Study Group / podcast show. I am your host, Tech Lady Tay Tay. Now, ordinarily, I would be going over N10008 study material for the Network Plus CompTIA exam, but not in this episode. No. In this show, I wanted to chat about an N10008 exam subject that's generally interesting: cybercrimes, cybersecurity, and technology disasters. That's right, folks, we are talking about the dark side of the internet, where hackers and criminals have lost their natural-born minds, where Mother Nature completely destroys networks without shame, and those historic moments where poor internet security crippled businesses. And some of this stuff may be things you'll see on the N10008 test. Welcome to episode 1 of the Incident Report. Today's episode is one that you probably saw in the news several years ago. I'm talking about the Sony Pictures spear phishing hack of 2014. It was a disaster. In a nutshell, the company's network was completely controlled by hackers. Employees were robbed in a series of spear phishing attacks. President Obama jumped into the drama equipped with his presidential writing pen. And at one point, the FBI pointed the finger at North Korea for the incident. It was scandalous, guys. Let's talk about it. Now, spear phishing is a type of attack where fraudsters attempt to acquire sensitive information, access to a person's personal data, or a computer system by sending fake messages that appear to be legitimate. And you have probably seen them before, like an email message from your bank that says you signed up for auto pay from your checking account when you closed the account in question several years ago. And the email probably contained a suspicious link too. Or maybe you got a message from Facebook asking you to reset your password by clicking a link. And the minute you click that link, well, a hacker stole your Facebook page and now they're trying to sell it back to you for $30 US. I'm not saying me, but I've seen it happen, so I've heard. Well, something similar happened to employees of Sony Pictures back in 2014, but worse. Journalist Amanda Hess wrote about it in a 2015 Slate.com article about a year after the incident. In the interview, she talked with a Sony Pictures TV writer who wished to remain anonymous. The source told Amanda that November 24th, 2014 was a very memorable day for her. She recounted walking through the Culver City studio lot to head to her desk that morning. En route, she would usually see film trailers or advertisements of upcoming films produced by Sony. But on this particular morning, she saw a select group of computers playing the trailer to a new movie that was rather strange. She had never seen that movie before or heard of it. Coincidentally, Sony Pictures had never seen or heard of the movie either. In the trailer, she described seeing an opening scene with gunshots, a spooky cartoon of a pink skeleton. Then she saw a gravestone marked Sony, with several pale severed heads of studio bosses Amy Pascal and Michael Linton, and a threat in neon green letters written in broken English said, quote, "We've already warned you, and this is just the beginning. We continue till our request be met. We've obtained all your internal data, including your secrets and top secrets. If you don't obey us, we'll release data shown below to the world. signed hacked by hashtag GOP. Now, in this case, GOP did not stand for the American Conservative Grand Old Party group on Capitol Hill and everywhere else. No, GOP was a group of hackers called Guardians of Peace. And at that point, on November 24th, they had successfully gained control of Sony's entire computer network. The anonymous employee said that she thought the movie trailer was actually more cute than spooky and resembled a hacker message that she may have seen somewhere in an 80s movie. But unbeknownst to her, it was the beginning of hell for herself and her fellow Sony staffers. Inside those Culver City studio buildings, engineers described a virus that completely destroyed their network. We all know how much of a headache it is when your company's network is down for a few minutes or hours. So imagine what they were experiencing, but amplified. Employees said their telephone directories and contract databases were wiped. Voicemail was offline. Computers and internet access was down. And their stock footage, the images that helps pay Sony's rent basically, well, that was unable to be searched. And here's the kicker. When a network admin tells you to unplug a computer from the wall, there's a chance that could mean they are executing their last line of defense in an attack. Sony employees were told to unplug everything from the wall. Which plug? Who cares? Just unplug everything. Unplug it all. Some employees said that after looking around their offices following the fallout, with computers down and staff members sending messages by walking handwritten notes to other offices, they did not know that their drama was just unfolding. In a 2015 interview with Politico, Stuart McClure, CEO of the computer security firm Cylance, told the publication that he analyzed a downloaded database of Sony's emails and realized that the hackers were able to get inside the company's network architecture through email. Yep, a spear phishing email started this whole mess. He said, quote, "We started to realize there was constant email around Apple ID email verification, and it was in a number of inboxes." Stewart said the emails were very convincing, and anyone who clicked the emails were sent to a fake Apple website where users were asked to enter their login IDs and passwords. The emails warned users that they had 48 hours to verify their Apple logins or risk being locked out. After the user logged in, the hackers stole their personal data. And because staff members were using their work computers to falsely verify their Apple credentials, unbeknownst to them as well, that put Sony's network at risk too. After the hackers stole the victims' data, they used their LinkedIn profiles to gain access to Sony's network login IDs. Now, how did they do that? 2 words: password reuse. Yes, the hackers were betting that Sony employees were reusing their passwords, and unfortunately, they hit the jackpot. Victims who reused their Apple passwords for their LinkedIn accounts and their work credentials at Sony opened the door for hackers to gain access to their network. Now, if spear phishing was bad, the hackers' subsequent moves were worse. The fake Apple website also contained a strain of a virus called Wiper. Once the user received their warning email at work and the user input their credentials on the site, the hackers were able to gain access to Sony's network. The virus and the spear phishing only laid the groundwork for the havoc that those hackers wreaked. A complaint filed by 2 former employees said that information about more than 47,000 current and former Sony staff was posted online. That included social security numbers, salary information, personnel files, and even some employees' medical history. It was so bad that the children of some employees were at risk of identity theft. In all, more than 100 terabytes of private data was leaked. The hackers were also able to access employee email records. A 2014 BuzzFeed article released some damaging emails from studio head Amy Pascal and No Country for Old Men movie producer Scott Rudin. The two, who are co-workers and friends, sent a series of emails to each other where they made racist remarks about then-President Barack Obama. Both Pascal and Rudin later apologized for their private and insensitive emails. But unfortunately, the damage was done. The emails, which mostly targeted Sony execs, were eventually posted on WikiLeaks, where more than 170,000 emails were released online. And once those emails were released to the public indulged in the drama. An article from The Wrap noted that Amy Pascal thought the movie Aloha was, quote, ridiculous. Well, she wasn't exactly wrong there. Anyway, one exec called actor-comedian Kevin Hart a garden tool because Hart wanted his budget increased to promote a Sony Pictures movie on social media targeting his millions of followers. Kevin did not appreciate the name calling. And it was also revealed in another email that billionaire Mark Cuban, the other host on Shark Tank, well, he was only getting paid $30,000 per episode. And Cuban, he was not happy with that paycheck amount. And the hackers, they were far from done. This incident happened around the Christmas time release of the movie The Interview, starring actors Seth Rogen, James Franco, Randall Park, and rapper Eminem was somewhere in the movie too. The campy comedy centers around a journalist and his producer who secures an interview with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, only to be recruited by the CIA to assassinate the North Korean dictator. The hackers did not like that movie or the premise, and they did not want Sony to produce it to the public. Also, Kim Jong-un is a real person, and he was watching all of this drama unfold from somewhere in North Korea, I suppose. At one point, the North Korean ambassador to the United Nations warned that releasing the film about the assassination of a whole living person in perhaps a rival country was tantamount to an act of war. But Sony wanted to release the movie anyway, so they forged ahead. Employees say that the company bosses try to keep staffers' spirits up in spite of everything going on. Leaders engaged with staff and tried to give as much information as they could about the incident. They set up a hotline to help answer employee questions about the incident. They were able to rig together an email server, set up Wi-Fi, and issued paper checks. Although one employee got a taste of just how serious the hack was when he didn't get his paycheck, and personnel asked him how much they were supposed to be paying him. Yeah, they're supposed to know that. Eee. But it appeared hard for Sony to really put anything out to their staff, perhaps because this issue was an investigation that included law enforcement. But every day their network was down was another day staffers wondered if their down network was the work of an insider, maybe a disgruntled employee. Sony wasn't really being as forthcoming as they probably would have liked. About 2 weeks after the hack, on December 4th, Sony threw a gigantic Christmas party for staff. There was music, cocktails. At one point, boss lady Amy Pascal gave a motivating speech to staffers. And finally, after all the strife they've been through over the past 2 weeks, staffers could let their hair down a little and release some of the tension that had been building up around the office. For a few hours, they danced and forgot about their troubles. They even snapped some pics for the gram. Hashtag turned even though we got hacked. They were so lit. But the next day at work was not so lit, because hackers started sending threatening emails to employees. An anonymous staffer told BuzzFeed News in a separate article that they received an email from a group called the Guardians of Peace, claiming that they were a worldwide group with reach across the globe. If the employees did not denounce their employer, then Sony's employees and their families would be in danger. As you could imagine, employees grew more and more worried as the theater release date neared for The Interview. They wanted to know if Sony was going to maybe not release the film, since that's what the hackers wanted, among other things. And releasing the film put staffers and their families increasingly at risk. Unfortunately, Sony did not seem to have many answers for staff. But one thing was for sure, that film was going to be released around Christmas. By December 15th, 2014, a series of complaints were filed by former employees charging that it was Sony's job to protect their electronic data from cyber attacks, and Sony did not protect their data. By December 17th, the hackers were threatening various movie theaters across the United States, warning that if they showed the interview, they would retaliate with terrorist attacks. Sony did not want any more smoke, so they shelved the movie. It was by then that President Barack Obama joined the conversation. He said, quote, "We cannot have a society in which some dictators someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States." In a brief moment of solidarity, and I do mean brief, the then Republican National Committee Chair, Reince Priebus, sent a letter to 10 movie theater owners encouraging them to play the movie in theaters anyway. "As a sign of my commitment," he wrote in the letter, "if you agree to show this movie, I will send a note to the Republican Party's millions of donors and supporters urging them to buy a ticket, not to support one movie or Hollywood, but to show North Korea we cannot be bullied into giving up our freedom." Sony exec Michael Linton said that the decision to pull the movie came after theaters backed away from showing the film following threats of a terror attack that invoked 9/11. Ultimately, the FBI got involved. In 2015, then FBI Director James Comey went on record to note that he was confident about the FBI's findings, and the Bureau was able to track the hackers' IP addresses to an address exclusively used in North Korea. What's interesting is that North Korean leaders at one point said that they were never behind the attacks. But that did not stop President Obama from issuing an executive order imposing sanctions on North Korea. This drama just didn't seem to end for all victims involved. Because of the hacks, staffers claimed that working conditions became rough, with some claiming to work up to 18 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. And inter-employee conflict also arose as a result of the incident. In the end, Sony paid about $8 million in damages to resolve the multiple class action lawsuits against them, and up to $3.4 million to cover legal fees and costs. Under the deal, Sony paid up to $10,000 per person to reimburse staffers for identity theft losses, and up to $1,000 per person to reimburse them for credit monitoring. A few people were nabbed by the authorities in connection with the hack, but unfortunately, hackers are like roaches. It's just too tough to get rid of them. And this all started with an email with a suspicious link. The reality is that we are all susceptible to being hacked. And anyone, no matter who you are or where you come from, could get got. This story is a reminder to stay vigilant when it comes to your own personal cybersecurity bubble. CNET advises to look for grammar mistakes in the body of the email. And you may even find them in the email address. Say, for instance, johnsmith@goggle.com. What the heck is a goggle.com? Suspicious. Hover your mouse over any links before you click. If the link looks suspicious, well, it probably is. Closely read the body of the email. Are they asking you to hurry up and click a link or verify your data? And lastly, if your bank or the IRS asks you to hurry and click a link or download an attachment in the body of the email, go ahead and call them back. While waiting on the phone to chat with your bank or the IRS can cause some anxiety, it's probably better than the anxiety you may feel if you get robbed by a hacker. Well, that story was quite a ride, huh? That's my time. Thanks for hanging out with me today. You can follow me on social, Twitter and IG, TechLadyTayTay, and you can catch my N10008 Emotional Support Study Group podcast every Friday. I'll be sure to post the links so you can join in. Be safe and have a good one.